He explained that these souls did not come to destroy the old world, but to transform it from within, to be the bridge, to hold both sides while the world transitioned from one era to another. And here is the most fascinating part. Cayce predicted that many of you would not awaken until after your 40s or 50s. Why? Because you first needed to fully experience the old world, to work in it, to become frustrated with it, to feel in your own skin that something was not working. Only then would you have the spiritual authority to show another path. Think about your own life. How many times did you feel like you were living on autopilot? How many times did you ask yourself, there must be something more than this? That emptiness was not depression, it was your soul reminding you of your mission. Cayce also spoke of 3 specific signs that would confirm that a soul from this generation was ready to awaken. The first, a deep existential crisis, something that breaks you from within and forces you to question everything. The second, an inexplicable attraction to spirituality, even if you don't know where to begin. The third, a constant sense of responsibility toward the world, even if you don't know how to help. If you have experienced these 3 things, it is not a coincidence, it is confirmation. But wait, because what comes next is even more specific. Cayce did not only speak about the generation as a whole, he divided that 20-year window into subgroups, and each subgroup has a specific mission. Those born between 1945 and 1950 are the keepers of memory. You carry the remembrance of what the world was like before separation. Your job is to remember and transmit. Those born between 1951 and 1965 are the system healers. You came to identify what structures are broken and how to repair them at the root. And those born between 1958 and 1965 are the consciousness activators. You came to awaken others, to be catalysts for the massive change that is coming. Have you identified which one you are? Keep that in mind, because in the next part 1 will reveal exactly what you left unfinished in your past life and why this is your final cycle of reincarnation on Earth. Now comes the most unsettling part of all. Edgar Cayce did not just say that this generation had a mission, he said it was their final mission. What does that mean exactly? According to Cayce's readings, the cycle of reincarnation on Earth has a limit. We are not meant to return here forever. Eventually, our souls graduate from this plane and continue their evolution on other levels of existence. And for most of you, this is that life. The final one. The one that determines whether you fulfill the purpose for which your soul was created. Cayce explained that the souls born between 1945 and 1965 had incarnated at key moments in human history. They were in Atlantis, in Egypt, in the time of Christ, in the Renaissance, always appearing when humanity was at a turning point, always trying to guide change. But they also failed, because free will is unpredictable, because fear is powerful, because systems of control are difficult to dismantle. In each life, these souls learned something, developed abilities, accumulated wisdom, but they never managed to complete the full mission. Until now. This generation has something no other had before, the perfect context. A globalized world where information flows freely, where geographical barriers have collapsed, where millions of people are seeking spiritual answers at the same time. It is the ideal moment. The perfect storm. And you arrived exactly for this. But here is the detail Cayce emphasized again and again. If you do not awaken now, if you do not fulfill it this time, there will be no other opportunity on Earth. Not because you will be punished, but because the cycle simply closes. Your soul will move on to another level of learning. But the specific mission you brought for humanity will remain incomplete, and that has consequences, not only for you, but for everyone. Because according to Cayce, this generation is the one meant to prepare the ground for the new era, the one that comes after the chaos, the one he saw in his visions as a time of peace, cooperation, and elevated consciousness. But that era does not arrive on its own. It needs facilitators. It needs people who show the way, who hold the light while others move through the darkness. Those people are you. Now I know what you're thinking, but I'm not special. I don't have powers. I'm not a famous spiritual leader. And Cayce anticipated that exact doubt. In one of his most moving readings, he said, "Most mission souls will not recognize their own power until it is absolutely necessary. They will live seemingly ordinary lives. They will work in offices, raise families, go unnoticed. But when the moment arrives, when the world needs them, something within them will activate, and they will know exactly what to do." Doesn't that give you chills? Because it means it doesn't matter how ordinary your life seems right now. It doesn't matter if you've never meditated or read a spiritual book. If you were born in that time window, if you feel this inner calling, if you found this video at this exact moment, something in you is already being activated. And most importantly, you are not alone in this. Cayce said these souls would recognize each other, that they would form invisible networks of mutual support, that they would meet by accident at key moments. He called this the synchronized awakening, a phenomenon where millions of people awaken at the same time without knowing each other, without coordinating, but feeling exactly the same thing. Have you noticed how in recent years you keep meeting people who think like you, who are searching for the same things, who feel that same urgency for change? It is not a coincidence. It is the synchronized awakening, and it is only just beginning. But before I explain exactly how to activate your specific mission, I need to reveal something Cayce warned about, something almost no one talks about. Here is the warning. Awakening is not comfortable. Fulfilling your mission is not easy. And the spiritual path is not all love and light as some portray it. Cayce was brutally honest about this. He said that the souls of this generation would face 3 main tests, 3 challenges that would determine whether they are ready to fulfill their purpose. The first test, material attachment. You were born in the era of consumerism. You grew up watching money and possessions become the new gods. Many of you built entire lives around financial security, and now your soul is asking you to let go. Not to let go of everything. Cayce never promoted poverty, but to let go of identification with the material, to let go of the idea that your value lies in what you have. Because your mission cannot be fulfilled from greed or from fear of losing. The second test, spiritual ego. When you begin to awaken, when you start understanding things others do not see, it is very easy to fall into the trap of feeling superior. Cayce warned specifically about this. He said many of these souls would get lost in spiritual ego, they would become arrogant, judge those who are still asleep, surround themselves only with people who think like them. And the moment you do that, your mission fails. Because your work is not to create spiritual bubbles, it is to build bridges. You did not come to save only the awakened, you came to help everyone. And that requires humility, compassion, and remembering that you were asleep once too. The third test, soul exhaustion. This is the hardest of all. Cayce explained that after so many incarnations, after so many failed attempts, these souls arrive on earth exhausted. That is why so many of you feel that inexplicable fatigue, that tiredness that sleep does not fix, that feeling of being fed up with the world. It is not clinical depression, it is karmic exhaustion. It is your soul saying, "I've done this too many times. I'm tired of trying. I want to go home." And Cayce said many would give up right before the end, right before their mission truly mattered. They would distract themselves with entertainment, numb themselves with food, alcohol, drugs, sex, screens, anything to avoid feeling that weight. But here is the truth you need to hear. That exhaustion does not mean you should give up, it means you are close. Very close. Cayce compared it to a marathon. The last miles are the hardest. Your legs burn, your mind tells you to stop, everything in you wants to quit. But those who cross the finish line are the ones who keep going despite the pain. And you are in those final miles. That is why everything feels so intense right now. That is why the world seems to be collapsing. That is why your personal life is being shaken to its core. It is not punishment, it is preparation. Cayce said something beautiful about this. He said that before a soul fulfills its greatest mission, the universe cleanses it. It removes everything that is not essential, everything that is not authentic, everything that does not serve the higher purpose. And it hurts. Of course it hurts. But on the other side of that pain is your true power. Now, how do you know if you have already passed these tests? Cayce gave very clear signs. If you can see money simply as energy in motion, you have passed the first. If you can stand in your spiritual truth without needing to convince anyone, you have passed the second. And if you can feel the exhaustion, but still choose to keep going, you have passed the third. You do not need to be perfect, you only need to be committed. But now comes what really matters. What exactly is your mission? What did you come here to do that no one else can do? Cayce left a method to discover it, and I'm going to reveal it to you now. Edgar Cayce developed a system so that each person could discover their specific mission. It was not complicated. It did not require elaborate rituals. It only required brutal honesty with yourself. He called it the method of the 3 questions. And although it sounds simple, most people never complete it, because the answers are uncomfortable. First question: what breaks your heart? I am not talking about personal sadness. I am talking about problems in the world that affect you at a deep level. Is it the suffering of children? The destruction of the planet? The loneliness of the elderly? Social injustice? Spiritual ignorance? Cayce explained that your soul does not choose these sensitivities at random. It chooses to feel pain for what you came to heal. If something breaks your heart, it is because your mission is connected to it. Second question: what do you do effortlessly that is difficult for others? Everyone has natural gifts, things they do so easily that they do not even value them. Maybe you listen to people in a way that makes them feel truly seen. Maybe you organize chaos naturally. Maybe you connect ideas others cannot see. Maybe you calm tense environments just by being present. These are not random talents. They are tools your soul brought specifically for this mission. Cayce insisted on this. Your mission never requires you to become someone you are not. It requires you to fully become who you already are, but consciously. Third question: if you knew you had exactly 5 years left to live, what would you do differently? This is the most revealing question of all. Because it eliminates every excuse. Every someday. Every delay. When there is real urgency, the soul reveals its true priorities. And those priorities are your mission. Now take the answers to these 3 questions and connect them. For example, your heart breaks seeing people disconnected from their true selves. Your natural gift is helping people feel safe to open up. And if you had 5 years, you would create spaces for authentic conversations. That is your mission, to create genuine human connection. Or maybe, your heart breaks seeing the destruction of the planet. Your gift is explaining complex ideas in simple ways. And if you had 5 years, you would educate as many people as possible about sustainability. That is your mission, to be an environmental educator. Do you see how it works? Cayce said the mission is not grand in theory, it is grand in impact. You do not need to be famous. You do not need millions of followers. You do not need to write the next great spiritual book. You need to do what only you can do, right where you are. Because here is the secret almost no one understands. Spiritual missions are not about scale, they are about precision. Every soul was placed in a specific context, with specific relationships, at a specific time, because that is where their unique contribution is needed. You are not where you are by accident. Your family, your city, your job, your problems, your limitations. Everything is part of the perfect design for your mission. Cayce explained it this way: The universe does not make casting mistakes. If you are in this play, it is because you have a role that only you can perform. And that role does not need to be obvious to others, it only needs to be clear to you. I have seen people whose mission is simply to be a calm presence in a chaotic family. Others came to plant seeds of doubt inside corrupt systems. Others are here just to love one person unconditionally when the whole world abandoned them. None of those missions sound epic, but all of them are essential. Because the transformation of planetary consciousness does not happen from the top down. It happens from the bottom up, from individual conversations, from small acts of courage, from daily decisions to choose love over fear. And you are the facilitators of those decisions. Now, Cayce also spoke about the times you would live in, the signs you would see, how you would know the moment had arrived. And everything he predicted is happening right now. In 1934, Edgar Cayce entered a trance and gave a reading about the future of humanity. He spoke of a period he called the Great Purification. A time when everything hidden would come to light. When structures built on lies would collapse. When truth would become impossible to hide. And he said that the mission souls would recognize this time through 5 specific signs. First sign, the massive awakening of the youth. Cayce predicted that children born after the year 2000 would come with different consciousness, more sensitive, more connected, less willing to accept the lies of the system. And he said that the generation of 1945 to 1965 would have to be the bridge between those children and the old world. You would need to translate, protect, and validate those new souls when no one else would. Is that not exactly what is happening? Young people today do not accept the traditional model of study, work for 40 years, retire, and die. They do not accept dogmatic religions. They do not accept authority without question. And many adults judge them, calling them lazy, lost, weak. But you understand. Because you were judged the same way when you questioned the system. Your mission includes being the shield those children need while they find their path. Second sign, the collapse of institutions. Cayce saw that the structures that governed the world for centuries would begin to crumble. Governments, economic systems, organized religions, education, healthcare. Everything built on control and fear would begin to fall apart. And when that happens, when people panic, mission souls must remain calm. You must remind others that collapse is not the end, it is the space required for something new. That is exactly what we are living now. And if you have noticed that while others panic, you feel a strange inner calm, that is not indifference. That is preparation. Your soul knew this was coming, and trained you not to break when it arrived. Third sign, the acceleration of time. Cayce spoke of a phenomenon where people would feel that time is moving faster, that days, months, and years pass quickly. He said this would not be imagination, it would be real. The vibrational frequency of the planet would increase, and it would affect how we perceive time. Do you not feel that years pass faster now? Cayce explained that this was a sign the Earth is shifting into a new dimension of consciousness, and sensitive souls would feel it first. Your job is to help others adapt to this acceleration without losing their center. Fourth sign, the revelation of ancient secrets. Cayce predicted that lost knowledge would be rediscovered, ancient texts, forgotten technologies, truths about human history that had been hidden. And indeed, have we not seen a massive resurgence of interest in ancient civilizations, esoteric knowledge, and hidden history? Cayce said this was not intellectual curiosity, it was collective memory awakening. Humanity remembering who we were in order to understand who we must become. Your mission includes integrating that ancient wisdom with the present, not getting lost in the past, but not ignoring it either. Fifth sign, the isolation of the awakened. This is perhaps the hardest of all. Cayce warned that when mission souls begin to awaken, they will feel deep loneliness. They will no longer fit into their old environments. Their families may not understand them. Their friends may see them as strange. Their culture may make them feel like outsiders. And many will doubt themselves, thinking something is wrong with them. But Cayce was clear that loneliness is temporary. It is the space between leaving the old world and finding your true tribe. And in that space, something important happens. You are forced to find your own truth, not your parents', not your church's, not society's, yours. And only from your truth can you fulfill your mission. If you have felt these 5 signs, if they all resonate with your experience, there is no longer any doubt. You are exactly where Cayce said you would be. Now only one question remains: what will you do with it? We have reached the point where theory becomes practice. Because you can understand all of this intellectually, and still not change anything in your life. And if that happens, the knowledge is useless. Cayce was very clear about this. He said that spiritual knowledge that is not applied is worse than ignorance, because it creates ego without transformation. So how do you actually fulfill your mission? Cayce left a 4-step process. Simple but profound. Step 1. Accept that your life was never meant to be normal. Stop trying to fit into conventional narratives of success. Stop comparing yourself to people who followed traditional paths. Your soul chose something different, and that means your life will look different. Maybe you went through multiple relationships searching for real connection. Maybe you changed careers many times because nothing fulfilled you. Maybe you have friends everywhere, but no place that feels like home. Those are not failures. They are the signs of a soul that refuses to settle for anything less than authenticity. Cayce said, mission souls rarely have linear lives. They have spiral lives. They may appear to go in circles, but they are actually ascending. Step 2. Identify your zone of genius. Your zone of genius is where 4 things meet: what you love to do, what you naturally do well, what the world needs, and what breaks your heart when it is missing. It is not just your talent. It is not just your passion. It is where everything converges. And here is the key: your zone of genius may be something the world does not yet value. Maybe your gift is creating beauty in ordinary moments. Maybe it is holding space for others to heal. Maybe it is questioning what everyone else accepts without thinking. It does not need a title, it just needs to be true for you. Step 3. Start small, but start now. Most people freeze waiting for the perfect sign, the perfect moment, the perfect conditions. But Cayce was clear: your mission activates in movement, not in preparation. You do not need a master plan. You need a first step. If your mission is to heal, start by helping one person. If it is to teach, start by sharing one idea. If it is to build community, invite 2 people to connect. The universe responds to action, not intention. And here is the magic: when you take that first step, even if it is small, the path begins to reveal itself. Resources appear. People arrive. Doors open. Not because you are special, but because you are finally aligned with your purpose. Step 4. Let go of the outcome. This is where most people struggle. They want to fulfill their mission, but they also want to control how success looks. They want to save everyone, change the world, be recognized. And Cayce warned, attachment to results destroys the mission. Because your job is not to save anyone. Your job is to show a possibility. Some will take it. Some will not. And that is okay. You are not responsible for other people's choices. You are only responsible for your authenticity. Cayce said it beautifully: plant the seeds. Water them when you can. But let the universe decide what grows, and when. Now I want you to understand something crucial. Fulfilling your mission does not mean your life will be easy. It does not mean everything will flow perfectly. It does not mean you will stop suffering. It means your suffering will have meaning. It means your effort will serve something greater than your personal comfort. It means that when your last day comes, there will be no regret, because you did what you came here to do. And according to Cayce, that is the only real peace that exists. The peace of knowing your life had purpose. That your presence mattered. That you fulfilled the contract you made before you were born. Now let me tell you something Cayce revealed about what happens after you fulfill your mission. Edgar Cayce was once asked, "What happens to the souls who complete their final mission on Earth?" His answer was so beautiful that his wife Gertrude cried while writing it down. Cayce said that these souls enter what he called the state of graduation. They do not return to Earth. They no longer need lessons on this plane. They move to other levels of existence, where they become guides for others who are still learning. They become what we call angels, ascended masters, guardians. But here is the most important part: the soul does not graduate alone. When you fulfill your mission, you raise the vibration of everyone you touched, and they raise others in turn. It creates a chain reaction of consciousness. That is why your mission matters, even if it seems small, even if no one applauds you, even if you die without recognition. Because the impact you create continues expanding long after you are gone. And here is the promise Cayce left specifically for this generation: if you fulfill your mission, if you hold the light during these years of darkness, if you succeed in being the bridge between the old and the new world, you will be remembered as the generation that saved humanity. Not with weapons. Not with violent revolutions. Not with politics. But with something far more powerful: conscious presence. The daily choice to choose love over fear, truth over convenience, authenticity over approval. Cayce saw that in the future, when humanity enters the new era, there will be monuments and celebrations. But they will not be for politicians or celebrities. They will be for the anonymous souls who, in the middle of chaos, kept the flame alive. For the teachers who stayed patient when everyone else was losing their minds. For the healers who held space when no one else could. For the creators who remembered that beauty matters, even in destruction. For the parents who raised conscious children in a sleeping world. For the workers who brought integrity into corrupt systems. For you. Now let me share something Cayce revealed in his final days, something very few people know. He was asked how these souls would know if they had truly fulfilled their mission. Because there would be no certificates. No external validation. No official confirmation. And Cayce answered with disarming simplicity, "They will know by the peace." He explained that when a soul fulfills its purpose, it experiences a peace that does not depend on external circumstances. It is not the absence of problems. It is not an easy life. It is something deeper. It is the inner certainty that you are where you are meant to be, doing what you are meant to do, being who you are meant to be. It is the ability to sleep peacefully, knowing that you lived that day aligned with your truth. It is being able to look at yourself in the mirror and recognize who you are. Not the version others expect. Not the mask you wear to survive. But your real self. And Cayce added something essential: do not wait for peace at the end of the path. Peace is the path. That means if you are fulfilling your mission, you will feel that peace now. Not when you finish. Not when you achieve something. Now. In the middle of the chaos, in the middle of uncertainty, in the middle of exhaustion. If what you are doing brings you that inner peace, even when everything around you is unstable, you are on the right path. And if you do not feel it, it is a sign something needs to change. Maybe you are trying to live someone else's mission instead of your own. Maybe you are postponing what truly matters. Maybe you are sabotaging your purpose with fear or excuses. But your soul knows. It always knows. And it will send you stronger and stronger signals, until you listen. Now, I know all of this can feel overwhelming. You may be wondering if you are really capable, if you have what it takes, if it is too late. Let me tell you what Cayce said to someone who had that exact doubt: you would not be asking if you were not ready. Doubt is not weakness. It is the final veil before certainty. Your soul already knows the truth. Your mind just needs time to catch up. And it will, in its perfect timing. In the meantime, all you need to do is this: Live with intention. Love without conditions. Speak your truth. Trust the process. It is not complicated, but it is not easy. It requires courage. It requires consistency. It requires faith in something you cannot see, but deeply feel. And if you made it this far, if you reached the end of this message, it is not a coincidence. Your soul brought you here. Because you needed to hear this. You needed confirmation that you are not crazy, that what you feel is real, that your life has a purpose far beyond just surviving. You needed to know that there are others like you. That you are not alone. That the feeling of not fully belonging to this world is not a flaw, it is a feature of your spiritual design. Cayce ended his final reading about this generation with these words: they will be tested. They will be tired. They will be tempted to give up 1,000 times. But within them lives a light that no darkness can extinguish. And when it is all over, when they look back, they will see that every difficult step was necessary, every loss was a liberation, every ending was a beginning. And they will say, it was worth it. So I leave you with one final question. Will you let this life pass like any other, or will you dare to fulfill what you came here to do? The choice, as always, is yours. But choose consciously. Because this is your last opportunity. Do not waste it waiting for the perfect moment. Do not waste it believing you are not enough. Do not waste it living the life others designed for you. The world needs what only you can give, and it needs it now. Not someday. Now. And if this message resonated with your soul, if something inside you awakened while listening, share it. Because somewhere out there, someone from your generation needs to hear this. We are more than we think. And together, we can truly change the world, one conscious soul at a time, one courageous decision at a time, one act of love at a time. Your mission began the day you were born, but it activates the day you choose to remember it. Let that day be today.